Welcome to Football Discussion Daily. My name is Joe, and I'm here with the co-host
CGO.
CGO or George. Today is the 14th of March, Pi Day 2026. There was five Premier League games today. In the early game, Brighton beat Sunderland 1-0. Bournemouth and Burnley tied 0-0. In about the 95th minute, there was a bird that flew right across the screen. It was about 5 feet in front of the camera. One of the most exciting parts of that game. I watched it. Newcastle beat Chelsea 1-0 on an Anthony Gordon goal. Arsenal had two late goals against Everton, including one with the youngest scorer in Premier League history, Max Dalman, scored a goal. And then in the late game, West Ham drew Man City 1-1. Exciting slate of games. George, first, let's talk about Arsenal-Everton. This kid, 16 years old, the youngest scorer in Premier League history. The first goal wasn't his assist, but he crossed it in. I think it was headed over. Gyökeres headed it in. Is this a grit from Arsenal? Do you feel, or is it luck to score late? What is your thought?
Well, for me, that young man called Max Dorman, if you watched Arsenal during the preseason, you see that the boy has that quality. He is a highly talented player. I'm not surprised with the few time he has been given opportunity. You notice he makes some good impact. It's just that sometimes when you play for a club like Arsenal, it takes time for coaches to have that kind of confidence of giving you a full 90-minute game to play. So most times, players like that, you always bring them in to come in as a substitute. So I was very impressed with the way he played. He took the opportunity that was given to him today, and the goal he scored was a very good one because he had to beat a player for he outrun a player and then beat the other next person, and then he went straight to go, and he put the ball at the back of the net. So I'm very happy for him, and I see him as a player that has a very bright future with the way he has been showing his ability. So he's going to go very far. I think he's a future player we should all look out for.
Yeah, I thought the second goal was great. I mean, the goalie wasn't in the net, but still he had to beat a couple guys. I think to make the big jump. I mean, performing for 30 minutes is great. It's a huge jump being able to play at that level, 90 minutes twice a week. Not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, be able to work yourself up to perform at that level. So often, I feel like he'll develop. Arteta is great at developing young players. Arteta is smart about where to put him in to develop, to get consistent time. I still don't think that there's no rush to do that because he's 16, is the youngest scorer in Premier League history. He
Yes.
can wait 2 years. Wingers usually develop and hit that twice a week earlier, but there are some late bloomer wingers that we've seen, such as Mo Salah. But they're also, wingers typically, on average, develop younger and are able to hit that earlier. So I'm excited to see him. He's a great player. I feel like he brought some excitement into Arsenal, who scored two open play goals today, George. That is impressive. I don't know when the last time Arsenal scored two open play goals is, right?
One thing I enjoyed about the goal Max Dorman scored was the level of composure because that goal, as soon as he scored that goal, everyone knew the game was over because Everton was putting pressure to possibly get an equalizer. And you know what that would have done to Arsenal's title race. So that goal was a very important goal. The composure in which he was able to beat his men, beat the opposition before heading towards the goal line, goal area of Everton and scoring the goal. Is to me, it's quite amazing and it shows how intelligent the guy is. So it's a good one. He has made history. He's the youngest player in the history of the Premier League to score a Premier League goal. So that's
Yeah.
quite impressive.
Yeah. 30 years from now, we'll be talking about him, breaking James Milner's appearance record. Who knows? George, next game to talk about is West Ham versus Man City. I feel, George, I have an egg on my face because I've thought before the last couple weeks that Man City would catch Arsenal. I think my mind changed today, and that I now do think that Arsenal will keep that title. I don't think that Man City will catch them after today. My mind has changed. I don't think today's game was a result of Man City being particularly bad. I thought it was more West Ham being good than what Man City being bad. But I do feel like Man City could have finished a couple more chances, but also conceded more. What were your thoughts of the game? Was there any standout performance for you from any of the players from on either side?
If you watch the game, you notice that Manchester City dominated the game. They were supposed to win this game, but kudos must go to the defensive structure of West Ham in this match, and also the goalkeeper of West Ham made some very
Yes,
fantastic save. If
fantastic.
not for some of the save, there was one Ireland played that it took it unexpected. He just placed the ball, and the goalkeeper was able to push it away. So Manchester City played very well. Unfortunately for them, they couldn't put the ball at the back of the net because of how solid the West Ham defense was, because they made a lot of blocks. We saw the goalkeeper making saves. And then I think there was a cross that Tijani made, I think towards the ending of the game. I think it struck the crossbar, something like that. So Manchester City did all they were supposed to do, but I just feel it wasn't their day. I suspected that something like this could happen because West Ham is pushing to escape relegation, so they will do everything possible. In short, as it is currently, they are now above Nottingham Forest because they are tied on the same point with Tottenham. So that shows you the level of progress they are making. See how we'll wait and see what happens in the game between, I mean, in Nottingham Forest game, and they will also be monitoring the game between Tottenham and also
Yeah, yeah.
Liverpool. So it was very important for them not to lose the game, and I'm happy they were able to get at least
I will
something.
say a couple things too. Like Man City's goal was lucky. Um, Bernardo Silva did not intend to do that. Like he was clearly, you could tell by his body language afterwards, he was meant to cross. And also another thing I noticed was that there's often times where West Ham would have two, three players in attack. It would be 2-on-3, 2-on-4, and they'd still look dangerous. Like Gerard Bowen would draw in an extra defender or two, pass it back. Like it would be very controlled. I feel like that was an active game plan by Nuno to do that. West Ham's goal, obviously off a set piece, was pretty well worked as well. Ex-Arsenal player. The rumors are, George, that um, Arsene Wenger signed him a long time ago so that he could score a goal that helps relegate Tottenham. This goal is not good for Tottenham, so it's double good for Arsenal in that sense. I've actually changed perspective too, George, and we've talked about this, but I now think Tottenham are going down. They just look so bad, and none of the players care. And I feel like that's such a huge part of it. You need a team of players that care and have pride in picking up points in this league.
When you look at the attitude of the Tottenham players, you don't see passion.
No.
You see nonchalant attitude from the players. And even now, we are hearing rumors that some players like Xavi Simon and some other players are already telling their agents to look for other clubs for them in case Tottenham goes to relegation. That's not something players should be talking about at this point. They should be fighting to make sure the club doesn't go down.
Yeah.
So it shows lack of commitment so far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I thought the set piece goal by West Ham was good, and again, I was very
Yeah.
impressed with West Ham today. And yes, they did. The goalie did make some fantastic saves, but overall, West Ham was fully deserving of a point there. This was not no accident. George, let's focus the majority of our time on this Newcastle 1, Chelsea 0. And I'm going to frame this question, George, and I texted you this question earlier today. I felt the first goal was a Chelsea mistake. You said that you were more confident when you had Fofana in the back, and I feel like he fell asleep on this particular play where we had Jack Willock go in pretty clear, and then both defenders converged on Willock. He passed it over to Gordon, who had a very easy goal. Um, do you feel like this was a backline issue, individual mistake? Like, what do you feel happened here, and
Well,
what?
if you look at it, you blame the midfielders because that was a line breaking pass. Now, where are the midfielders when Livramento was driving the ball and then he was able to give that pass to Willock, who now squared it to Anthony Gordon to put it in the back of the net? So for me, the midfielders too, they slept off. Then you also blame Fufana, who allowed this man to beat him and then get into space before he was able to square the pass to Anthony Gordon. You also blame that on the kind of high line Chelsea was playing at the beginning of the game. One thing I wasn't too impressed about the first half of Chelsea was they were just making sideways passes. There was no penetrating pass. There was no creativity. Honestly, it was the way they played in the first half was so boring, so far as I'm
Yeah.
concerned. And
George, can I ask you, like, I noticed Reece James playing in the midfield and more centrally. I feel like he's wasted there. I feel like he is he's Trent Alexander-Arnold level passing if he's outside back. And when he's center mid, he's a very good player, so he's not a bad player in that position, but I feel like he's wasted. What are your thoughts?
the issue is that, there have been games where he has played in the midfield and he did so well. But one thing coaches must realize is these things won't work every time, because that is not his natural position. So sometimes you can use that, but you shouldn't take him away from where we all know Reece James. Everybody knew Reece James very well, commended his ability because he was playing as a right back. That's what we all know him for. Sometimes you can occasionally use him in the midfield. It's like in the recent time, starting from the time of Enzo Maresca, seems Reece James is mostly used in the midfield, which to me, that's not where he has his best strength. Because if you look at Reece James knows how to give some very beautiful crosses. If somebody has such kind of ability, what it means is he needs to be operating from the right back, so that when he overlaps, he's able to give those nice crosses. And you will see in the second half when the coach pulled out Malagusto and asked Reece James to go to that right back, we saw some nice crosses he made that were very dangerous to the opponent. So things like this, coaches must understand. Always use your players to the best of their strength. That's what I feel should be done. Except maybe there are issues of injuries, then you can make some few adjustments. Not when there are no injuries, then you still want to use Reece James there.
Yeah, yeah.
That's not something that's sustainable.
I thought Cole Palmer too was very good today. I thought he made several dangerous runs and was the one Chelsea player who was looking to make stuff happen. Yao Pedro and Garnacho and Fernandez were the other three in the forward line who, again, didn't lose possession a lot, but didn't do a thing I felt dangerous at all. So just there's my personal perspective watching the game, but I agree
But
with you. Yeah, Reece James.
our first half was even Cole Palmer.
Yeah,
First half, most of them were sleeping. They were not on top of their game. It was second half that we saw some kind of improvement in the team. First half was really very terrible.
I also saw George, and late in the second half when Newcastle I felt were wasting time and were pretty good at it. Got several yellow cards for it. Chelsea players getting unnecessarily frustrated. I saw when Chelsea, I think it was an extra time actually, Cucurella did a foul that he had no business doing, and it was clearly out of frustration. And that's a situation where, again, I feel like Chelsea is a young team, and there's no accountability within the locker room due to the age of the players, and that stuff kind of goes unpunished within the team. And there was no red cards like there has been in previous weeks, but I still feel like it just impacted Chelsea's ability to push for that equalizer and potentially a winner in today's game.
But Joe, a player like Cucurella is not a young player. What, like I keep telling you, one of the problem Chelsea is having in their team is lack of leadership. You don't have leaders in the Chelsea squad. That's the problem. And I understand where you're coming from, because you have more of young players in the team. Now, if we have maybe the core of the team are people who are very experienced, probably that would have really helped the team. So, but when you have more of young players as your core, at the core of the team, then issues like this will always come up. Even it might even influence even the players who you see as experienced player like Cucurella.
And Cucurella is not a young player, but he's been at Chelsea since he's been a young player, and he hasn't had this accountability and leadership since he's a young player. So yes, He's no longer a young player, but he's developed from a young player to what he is now, which is like basically a prime age player without that accountability and still doesn't have it within his locker room. That's my point with Cucurella. And yes, George, I can make that distinction if you want, but I understand where you're coming from, but it doesn't change what I'm saying and what my point is.
So,
Uh,
so the issue is that Chelsea need players who are experienced to make up the core of the team. If that can be done, it's going to really help the team a lot when it comes to the area of leadership, when it
but
comes
that
to having consistent performance.
but that needs to be grown. And Chelsea ownership isn't given a chance to grow. They're trying to buy it, and you can't buy that. Okay, even
What
Roman Abramovich didn't try and buy it. He got it with John Terry, Frank Lampard, neither of whom he bought. So
so the issue is with this board. Do you think they are the type of board that would like to change the model they are using currently?
George, I don't want to comment on them personally. But yeah, I don't feel like they will, and I feel like the fans are the ones who suffer. I know you care about this team and you see the talent that they have, and you're frustrated week to week when they don't live up to that talent. And I do feel like this ownership group, unless they drastically change strategy, which they won't because they'll make less money on transfers and stuff, will this ownership group will not bring them to the promised land. I feel like Chelsea is a club on the decline with this ownership group, and that will not change until the ownership changes. Yeah.
Honestly, it sometimes I'm so I get so surprised the way things changed in Chelsea because when you look at the kind of players playing for Chelsea now, you start asking a lot of questions. When did Chelsea get to the point where we need to rely on players like Garnacho? You need to rely on players like Chaloba and players like that to play for Chelsea. Having players like Tosi playing for Chelsea. Even Nicholas Jackson, which many of us feel is better than Delap, Abramovich, such players will not even be in Chelsea. That's the truth. But this ownership, I don't know if they don't care about the emotion, if they don't care about the feelings of the fans.
They
It's
don't.
something I can't really.
And I'll
Well,
say, George, the ownership isn't going to change their opinion until people like you, fans who are putting money in the owner's pocket, stop watching. You stop going to games. You don't go to games because you live in America, but they're not going to change until people stop watching on TV. They stop buying jerseys and they stop going to games. That's what could change the ownership's mind. And you're a hardcore fan. I don't see you doing that, but I mean, I could totally see a couple fans on the fringes after several sixth, seventh, fifth place finishes for 5, 6, 7 years in a row, them doing that. But we'll see. That's a long way off, and 5 years is forever in football.
so Joe, with the situation of things now, do you think Chelsea will finish in the top five?
No, I've consistently said that. I think they'll be the odd man out. I think Aston Villa, Man United, Liverpool will be the top three, and Man City, Arsenal will be 1, 2.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. We'll see. All right, George, let me close out with our standard questions of the day. Number one, what do you feel like went wrong with Chelsea? Was it midfield? Was it full backline? Was it discipline? Was it individual errors? Was it systematic? Let us know your thoughts on that. Number two, is the title race officially over? I think it is now. I can't see Arsenal losing from here. I think George would agree with me there. And number three, Max Dalman. Do you feel like which level he's going to peak? Average Premier League starter, like really good player, or like all timer? Where do you think he's going to end up? It'd be awesome to see his career. He has a great day. Congratulations to him. And all right, thanks everybody. Peace out.